Hopefully my hair doesn't really get in my way, but we will see, especially since it's drying off. This story is about a PI who takes on a case for a missing person, to find a missing person. The plot is about a PI who is not looking for a missing person. The confusion of these two statements together is the same confusion that is left even by the end of this movie. And Open Road, if you are looking for more amateur writing, please feel free to give me a call. I could get my niece to write a story that is maybe as flawed, but with much more interesting plot points. Actually, scratch that. She could give plot points that are actually interesting. Hello everyone, my name is Max Erin James. This is a review of the movie Marlowe, written by William Monahan and Neil Jordan, directed by Neil Jordan. And it stars Liam Neeson, so you know the quality of this is, you just know to lower the standards. Also starring in this movie, it's a nice ensemble. Diane Kruger, Jessica Lange, Daryl De Silva, Alan Cumming, Danny Houston, Adewale Akinnuye, Agbaje, sorry I butchered your name, and Cole Meany. To all of you, I've seen you do better in much better projects, so I'm very sorry that this is now part of your portfolio. If I could describe this movie in one word, it would be boring. This was probably the biggest waste of time in the movie theater and has knocked out Knock at the Cabin, no pun intended, as the worst movie of the year so far. We still have 10 months left, so Marlowe could easily lose this prestigious award of worst movie probably this decade so far, actually. Of course, some of these actors, especially amongst the actors that I named, took the role a bit more serious than maybe it needed to be, especially the way the story presented it. And there were moments when Liam Neeson tried to be funny or charismatic, but it did not come across. And it seems like he's just not that, or at least he does horrible at portraying that in front of the camera. The tone that is set by the music and aesthetic and even costume design does not match at all the seriousness that is of the story, or at least how the actors played their characters. I immediately thought of LA Noire, that video game that was entertaining, or the season 8 of Archer, which I very much enjoyed. I just love the show. The thing with these two is that not only are they actually entertaining, but they are aware of their campiness and do not take themselves too seriously. And I feel if this movie delved into the campy and not taking itself too serious, or actually if it had any level of self-awareness, it might actually be watchable. With the bad CGI of the city or town, the horrible wigs, the costume design and music, the tone that was set, it felt very much more like dress up than a story that takes place in 1939, I believe. Plus, like I said about the story, it's this PI played by Liam Neeson named Marlowe. I do not know his first name. It's actually not even important. Not even remotely important knowing any of these characters' names. And the PI accepts this case to find this person that is reportedly missing or supposedly missing, but is believed to be dead. So Neeson takes the case and we go on this very, very undeveloped story. During this entire investigation, at no point did it ever feel that Liam Neeson was getting even a little bit closer to solving the case. And at no point did it feel like we were coming along for the ride. It felt like if there was anything being discovered or realized, we were still left in the dark, and it was not in a good way. This was a collection of conversations between Marlowe and one or two other people that gave us information that maybe could be interesting, but in no way did it push the story forward, so it just felt very pointless and just as if the writers, specifically maybe both William Monahan and Neil Jordan, were just sharing their opinions on certain social ideas, whether it be racism or specifically towards Mexicans or sexism in Hollywood. It did not lead anywhere or did not help solve any case. It was pointless. And after an hour into the movie, we finally start learning stuff about Liam Neeson's character that should have definitely been presented earlier in the movie, and maybe we would have been slightly invested in what was going on. There was so much exposition trying to be hidden in this very lazy dialogue. And I say lazy, although this movie is boring, I will not put that with the dialogue because, again, the dialogue could have been interesting, but it did not connect at all with the movie. So you felt why I was left asking the question of why am I sitting here with this person? Why am I listening to this? I have no idea what is going on. And one minor thing, there were moments where there were several angles of a conversation between two people, and so it just felt pointless. That's just a little thing another issue I wanted to add on top of this pile of... Alright, now I'm going to share some mild spoilers, not like it matters. I doubt you will watch this movie, and maybe you probably never even heard of this movie before this video. Alright, so Marlowe never gets close to solving the case, and does not even really solve it. The person that was missing and reportedly dead, is that right? The person that everyone thought was dead that Marlowe was looking for shows up at Marlowe's place. So he did not really solve the case, and honestly I think they just pushed that there because they realized at no point was this guy going to figure it out. The story actually ended up not even being about this missing person, and instead about something else entirely that was not mentioned until the final act, and then proved to not even be that important because it did not even make it to the end of the movie. Nothing mattered. There were no stakes, and at no point did I feel Liam Neeson's character was in any danger. The writers had to push the characters into these situations that would lead them to danger instead of allowing the characters to make choices that would put them in dangerous situations. This was what is the opposite of masterpiece? It was that of trash. It's like the magnum opus of boredom. Actually, I doubt is the magnum opus. I'm sure we can find another movie that is much more boring than this. But I will say, I felt at no point was a story actually being told to me. It felt like I was just watching people pretend to be certain characters and improv the entire story. Anyway, that is my review of the horrible Marlowe. If you have seen it, what did you think about it? If you did like it, I'm sorry for this. Until next time, y'all take care of each other. Check up on one another. Check up on yourself. And remember, potential has no limit. I feel very weird giving that positive advice at the end after ripping this movie apart.